Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to Pillow Talk Lounge. We're your host. I'm James Yaden, my lovely wife, Cynthia Green.
Your what wife?
Lovely wife. Sorry that we're a little late. We got caught up in something else, but it doesn't matter. We are here now.
Yes, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, y'all. It's a beautiful Saturday morning. Can't y'all see how bright this light is? The sunshine is just shining through the window, and I am loving it. I'm so looking forward to spring. Are y'all looking forward to spring? If you're looking forward to spring, type a one for yes in the chat. Like type a one for yes, because I am so ready. But I think we're gonna get a little bit more winter cold. So how y'all feeling today? Y'all feeling good? I'm feeling good.
I'm excited. We're entering into a new month.
Yes.
And that new month
we're in a new month.
Right,
yeah.
and that means the change of seasons.
Yes.
And that's what we're talking about, because I love as it changes season. This is the time to get outside and start doing some things.
Yeah, he just want to get out in the yard. That's all. But matter of fact, change the season, change the time too, y'all.
Right.
Time changes next Sunday.
It goes forward, spring ahead.
I'm so excited about that.
Spring forward, however you want to say it.
I love waking up in the morning and it's already bright outside.
Yeah.
And I love the long evenings.
Yeah, because I don't think many of us enjoy, if you got to go into the office, when you leave for work, it's dark. When you come home, it's dark. Or it's dark at 5 o'clock. Yeah. I don't think many people enjoy that.
No, I know I don't. And did y'all know I was told they passed the law. I knew they were working on the law that they're going to stop changing the time from daylight savings to whatever the opposite is called. But yeah, they're supposed to just leave it. So I don't know if they're leaving it the way when they change it on March 12th. Or will they change it next year and leave it that way?
Right.
That
we'll see what happens.
I don't know, but I think it's when they're gonna leave it the way it is this year and give us those longer evenings. I love it. I'm loving it.
So now that we're into March, we done left February, and February was Black History Month. Now we enter into March, and March is
Women's History Month. Yes, so this is all about the women this month, right? I was, just finished a women's entrepreneur class through Cornell University, and that was so good. It was so exciting. It was all about my business. So this month, I know we're going to be talking about women in business, women health, women in love, women in careers, all of that stuff,
So I can just sit back and not say anything.
No. I'm not saying us. I'm talking about people.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Everybody's going to be talking about that kind of stuff. But what we're going to focus on this month is women in marriage. We're going to focus on women in marriage and women in marriage, meaning we're going to really talk about women who want to be married. So we have so many friends that come up to us like, when are y'all going to do something for us not married people so we can get married, right? And we're like, we work with couples only. We do a lot of pre-marriage coaching, like a lot of pre-marriage coaching and counseling for our church and coaching in our business. And a lot of times we combine the two. Right. But so we prepare women to be wives. But usually only if they're in a relationship. So this information we're giving today can be if you're already in a relationship planning to get married, or if you just know you want to get married one day.
And the key to this is that, when we talk to a lot of women who want to be married, are they prepared? That is the key, because we know that women want to get married. As far as men, some do, some don't. But women always want to get married. And when you talk to women, they want to be married. They have deadlines. Well, I want to be married by a certain age. And I want to be married to this certain type of man. And that's what their focus is mostly, like trying to find the right man. And let's be honest, Cynthia and I always say, no man is perfect. But you need to find the perfect one for you. So you can have a list, and he might not fit everything on your list, because there is no perfect man out there. But you have a list of.
But honey, guess what? Women really believe that there's a man out there that fits every single thing on their list.
So then, when time goes on, and you say, I want to be married by a certain age, and say you pass that age, then what? So do you settle for less that's on your list, or do you still wait and look? And now you're getting older and older and older, and you're still waiting for that man that has everything on your list.
I know people like that. But it's not about waiting for that age or waiting for that thing on that list. I'm being honest with y'all. It's about waiting for what God
That's right.
has on his list.
Because trust me,
what God's age is.
and we
God
can talk
says.
about it. I wasn't everything on her list.
Oh, Lord, no.
I was far from it.
Lord have mercy.
But see,
I was not planning to go there today.
no, we're talking about.
Okay.
We're talking about this, but then
That's
we talk.
true.
But then we talk about if you're dating and you want to get married, are you forcing the issue? You know, there's a lot of things we could talk about. You know, because Cindy and I always talk about certain things. Are they forcing the issue? Well, I want to be married by a certain time or a certain age, and so you say, look, if we're dating and you don't marry me by this age or this time, I'm out of here because I'm not going to be waiting around all this time for you to get yourself together.
Well, now that's a little different what you're talking about. There's women who want to be married by a certain age that's not even in a relationship. Now you're talking about women who are in a relationship, they've been dating a while, and they want to be married by a certain age, and the man ain't ready.
Right, and I was
That's
gonna
two
say
different
that's two different topics. Right. So the thing is, when you're dating and you want to get married, are you prepared?
That's what we're talking about.
That's
today.
what we're talking about today. Are you prepared? Because you can always say, well, I've been prepared since I was 21 or whatever the case may be. I've been prepared for years now. But your focus is on getting married and not on are you prepared to be that wife that you need, say your future husband needs you to be.
Right. You guys, I tell women who are planning their wedding this all the time. You're planning your wedding, you're planning to get married, but did you plan for marriage? And they'll look at me like, what do you mean? And it's not just about marriage counseling. It's about planning to be married. Like you're planning this wedding, you're overwhelmed because you got all these different pieces of the wedding you have to plan for, all these people that you have to connect with, all these lists, all these things to do. And so you're overwhelmed. And then when someone like me asks you, well, have you planned the marriage? And you're like, I can't put another thing on my plate. But are you ready for marriage?
Right.
Yeah, I love him. It's not about love. It's not about that. You cannot put all your energy into marrying someone and have not done anything to plan to be married to that person.
Right.
Because I'm telling you, there's a lot of things that can go wrong when you get married if you're not prepared.
Exactly.
But if you're prepared, there's a whole lot of things that can go right.
Right. Because let me just say, you know, not to knock women, but a lot of women focus on the wedding part so much and don't focus on life after the wedding. And that's preparing for a life together. You know, because a lot of things come up and a lot of things can happen as life goes on that you're not prepared for because you were so focused on the wedding part and not on the marriage part. See, we always say people pay to get married, they pay to get a divorce, but they don't pay to learn how to be married.
That's right.
Because, you know, the wedding can cost a lot. And divorce, if you're married a certain amount of time, you have to pay for the divorce. You may have property or assets to split, and you have to pay for all of that. But you're not paying to learn how to be married.
And, you know, people always say marriage takes work. And nowadays that's become such a negative connotation. But if you were somebody 365 days a year, you don't think you got to learn or do something different in order for that to work? If you're dating somebody and you're not getting along all the time, what do you think is going to happen when you're living in the house every single day of your life? You have to do some work and you have to be ready to be married. Now, I know this post is for women, but there's a lot of things on here that the man needs to pay attention to too, because there are things men definitely need to do to prepare to be a husband. But we're just talking to the wife because this is Women's History Month. It's the Woman's Month. It's all about us, you guys. And we just want to help you be ready.
Right.
So I'm telling you, I always meet friends like and see people, meet anybody. And they be like, you got somebody for me? You know, how do we single women get a man?
Right. And
what do
that's-
we do to
right.
get married?
And that's why Cynthia and I, we're not, let me see how to say it, matchmakers, so to speak.
Yes.
You know, people
Lord
say,
knows.
well, can't you find a husband? We don't know what women, when we talk to them, we don't know what you prefer. We don't know your likes and dislikes. We don't know your style of man. You know, we don't know all those things. And you may have a list, but it's not like we could take that list and go find a man and say, all right, are you this? Are you that? Do you do this? Do you do that? We can't do that. So, you know, and we know people, and I know this is getting a little off the topic. Women may find a man online. You know, that's kind of popular nowadays, because there you can have your list on here's what you like, and you can read their profile and say, okay, they have a lot of similar interests. They have things on my list that I like. Let me, you know, request them, or I don't know how you do it. Push the button, or I don't know what you do. Let me be honest.
You never been on the dating app?
No, I've never been on the dating app, so I don't know what to do if you find
I think you click on their name, yeah.
someone you like.
If you want to connect.
You know, but for me, and this is just me, you know, everybody has an opinion. I believe you should talk. I mean, I believe it's better because men are visual, you know, and just seeing a profile, people can have an old picture up there, you know, people can have all types of things up there. But if you're out and about, you know, running errands or doing what you do out, and you meet somebody, I feel that's the best way, because then you can see them right there and you can talk to them right there and get to know them better instead of reading their profile. That's me.
James' opinion.
That's my opinion.
People disagree, and during COVID, that's all you could
Right.
do. And people made some serious connections during
They
COVID.
They did.
All right, y'all. So let's jump into the topic. We're going to talk about 5 tips every single woman should learn. But I just want to give some advice.
And is this learning
before you get married?
before you get married, and
Mhm.
learning how to be a good
How
wife?
to be a good
All
wife.
right.
So it's going to be 5 tips that every single woman should learn and do and know and be before she gets married. Now, this is not one of the 5 tips, but there's a couple of things I think you should do. Go around and just talk to other wives and ask them what is something that they wish they had done to prepare for marriage before they got married, or ask them what advice would they give to.
And that's a good point.
that you would give to help a woman who's getting ready to be a wife.
Because
excuse me, I don't know what's wrong with my
I'm gonna say,
throat.
because some people
My
have
voice.
been through some things, and they can look back and say, I wish I would have done this
Mhm.
before I got
Or
married.
known this.
Right. Or
Mhm.
known this. So then they can give you insight, say, here's what I would have done maybe differently, or here's what I would have learned if I had done this. So then maybe they can give insight to you before you take that step.
And so my piece of advice is going to go with tip number 1. I do advise you to ask other women what would they advise you to do to become a great wife or a good wife, or what do they wish they had been prepared for before they became a wife. What I would, this is not even one of our tips, but what I would say is ask God, what does he want you to do to prepare to be a good wife? What does he want from you as a woman to be a wife? And so our tip number 1 is develop an intimate relationship
Right.
with God. And now I have to say, most women that I know that are single, that come to me, that, you know, ask me about, you know, do I know somebody, or telling me they really want the husband, or when are we going to have something for the single women to help them, you know, be married. Most of them have a great relationship with God. Most of them really, really do. The women that I know. But if you don't, when we say develop an intimate relationship with God, that's not going to church. That's not just going to church, I should say. You got to build that intimate relationship with God at home, where you're talking to him. He's talking back to you. He's touching your heart, giving you ideas, giving you advice, counseling you. You can just talk to him about what you need, what you want, what you're thinking, what you're doing. And you know that you're getting a download from him. Not every single time, because come on, let's just be
And I
honest.
was going to say, baby, I believe that's true, because when things come up, that's when you go to God. That's when you pray, you know, if you need change, you know. Plus, God should always be in the middle of your marriage. That's why it talks about in Ecclesiastes, the 3-stranded cord, or in
That's
Ephesians, the three-stranded cord, how God
It's
is,
Ecclesiastes.
that God is always in the middle of your relationship or your marriage, because that's how you strengthen your marriage. So it's a key to have a relationship, that you have a relationship with God and your spouse have a relationship with God, because each of you can go to him separately and talk to him and let him give you insight on what you should do and where you're going. How do you want God to look at your marriage or your relationship? How do you want him, to intervene when things get rough?
And then
That's who you go to.
And then when you come back together, you're usually on one accord
Right.
because you both consider him. But my thing is, well, in our advice number one, how can you have a covenant with your husband if you don't already have a covenant with God? See, marriage is a covenant. When you get married, you enter into a covenant with God, your husband, and you. That's that three-stranded
That's
cord
right.
James is just talking about. So if you don't have an intimate relationship with God, you are not going to have an intimate relationship with your spouse. Maybe sexually, but not spiritually. And that's where a lot of us fall short.
Yep.
So an intimate relationship with God includes biblical wisdom, reading your Bible, studying your word, developing a life of prayer.
And speaking of prayer, that's the key, because when you pray together, it allows you to get on one accord. Because now, especially if you're praying together and out loud, now God hears your prayers, knows what you're thinking, and knows what to give you.
That's right. And then the other one is having a life dedicated to God. And that's what we've been talking about. When you're praying to God and you're spending time with God and he's giving you downloads and he's hearing you and you're hearing him, that makes you more open to hear from your husband when he hears from God, because you will know it's from God because you've spent that intimate time with him also. So it's super important to have that relationship, that intimate relationship with God first. There's no way you can have an intimately spiritual life with your spouse if you don't have an intimately spiritual relationship with God. So I would advise you to start asking God, what do you want from me as a wife? Who do you see me as a wife? What am I missing when it comes to being a wife? What do I need? What are you saying to me to be that wife that you call me to be? That's honestly, amen. That's good. Thank you. Hi, Tracina. That's honestly what I did before I married James. Y'all, I have to share this with y'all. When I knew that James and I were getting married, I started praying to God, like, God, please, I don't want to do marriage the way I did it the first time. I was pleading with him. I said, Lord, you can please show me how to be the wife that you have called me to be. And then it clicked in me. I was like, I don't want to do marriage my way, and I don't want to do marriage James's way. Whether it had anything to do with our first marriage or not, I just didn't want to do marriage our way. I said, God, I want to do marriage your way. Can you please show me how to do it your way? Please. Show me how to do it your way. Show us how to do it your way. And y'all, we literally went into a 40-day fast and prayer and reading the word with God the 40 days before our wedding to learn how to do it his way. And we know without a shadow of a doubt that that's why he uses us to help other couples. All right, moving on to number 2, because we could stay on that topic for a long time, because that's the key. That's the most important piece. Is building that intimacy with God so you can have that intimacy with your spouse. All right. Number 2 is master the art of fidelity and trust.
Right.
So when we talk about that, a lot of us feel like we're trustworthy. But y'all, I've heard women doing some sneaky things, like going out and buying stuff and hiding it in the trunk of the car, not telling their spouse where they really been. Not that they've been with another man. I'm just saying.
And it's a key. The trust is always the issue when, say, the man leaves the house and you know that if he says he'll be back and he was going a long period of time, you start losing that trust. That's why you have to build that trust factor. Trust is a key, because if he says he's going to the store and the store is 10 minutes away, 10 minutes back, whatever, and he's gone for 3 hours, now you're starting to lose that trust. But you have to have trust in your mate that even if they're going to do what they say they're going to do.
And a lot of times women have those trust issues because of past relationships and,
Right.
and somebody done them wrong.
Right. But the key is, when we talk about all that baggage that you have, you can't bring it into a new relationship.
That's true,
Because
but
then
we do,
if
but
you
we
had
don't get
trust
any help.
if you had trust issues in your past relationship, you can't bring that into your new relationship because you're not going to trust that person.
That's right.
And that person could be a really good person, but now you don't have trust in him because of your past.
Right. And it's also about being a woman of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. And so that way you don't have to turn around and say, you said you were going to do such and such and such, and it's not done. It can cause an argument. It shouldn't, because people are human. They make mistakes. They forget,
Mm-hmm.
But that trust factor, sometimes we as women, especially, we think because we're spiritual, we're a good person, that we're trustworthy. It's not that simple, you guys. Trustworthy means your spouse can trust you with their heart also. What does that mean? It means that if he should be able to feel like he could share anything with you. You're not going to judge him. You're not going to put him down. You're not going to run out and tell all your family and friends. That you are a safe place for him.
Right.
You are a safe place for him to talk to share with, to pour out his good
Right.
and his bad too.
And the key is that you can't let doubt creep in, because if you have that trust and now you let a little bit of doubt creep in, you're going to lose that trust factor, because now you're doubting what that person said he is doing is what he's actually doing.
The other thing about this trust factor too is that we have to learn how to be 100% committed to the relationship before we get married. And I say that because a lot of times we're dating somebody and every time they do something wrong, you know what? I'm out of here. I can't deal with this. I'm done. I quit. We need to take a break. You walk away from the relationship every time something goes wrong. No, you have to learn conflict management, conflict resolutions. You have to learn how to work those things
Right.
out with them. Because if you can't do it before you're married, trust me, it's going to be even harder once you
Right.
get married.
And the key is you have to be open and honest, because that allows you to have transparency. And if you have transparency, then that trust factor goes up, because now they're totally being honest with you. They're totally being transparent, and you have nothing to hide. That's why Cindy and I truly believe in, we have nothing to hide, whether it's passwords on phones, whether it's, if I'm going to be a little late, I will call up and say, I'm going here, I'm going to be a little late, whatever the case may be. That's being open and being transparent, which allows you to have that trust.
And number 3, y'all, I know what y'all gonna think as soon as I say it, but it's not meaning what you think it's going to mean. And I wish I was typing these in the feed. Somebody type these 3 notes in the feed. I'll go back and give you the first 2 in a second. Number 3 is develop the ability to take care of a home. Now, y'all, I am not talking about cleaning the house. We are not talking about cleaning the house. It's more than about cleaning the house. But I'm sorry, I don't think no man want no dirty, junky, filthy, nasty, stanky house. He does want a clean house, and yes, he should help. But if he doesn't, you got to do what it takes to make sure you got a clean home. But taking care of the home, the ability to take care of a home. Go ahead and say what you said, baby. Then I'll tell them what I'm talking about.
Taking care of the home also means doing what you're supposed to do, because when we talk to people who may have had affairs, and then we say, well, what led to that? Well, they wasn't taking care of me at home. So that's another part of taking care of home. You have to do what you need to do.
Well, what we found too about why a man goes out and cheats is that he doesn't feel like he can talk to his wife. He's not connecting with her because she doesn't allow him to be honest and transparent, like you were just saying, babe.
That goes back to the trust. That you don't trust me. You're always doubting me. You're always chastising me. Right. Yep. You're not taking care of home.
And we're not saying it's your fault that they went out and cheat, because they're a whole grown man, and they make their own choices. And we always say
God gives you choices, and that's the choices they decided to make.
Right.
That's why that number 1, having a relationship with God is a key, because God will give you choices, and it's the choices that you make that turns the tables on your relationship or makes the tables great.
Oh, Tristina's gonna take notes for us. So let me go back. Number 1 was
relationship with God.
An intimate relationship with God, because you can't have an intimate relationship with God if you don't have an intimate relationship with, you can't have an intimate relationship with your spouse if you don't have an
Right.
intimate relationship with God. So number one is develop an intimate relationship with God.
Second one is about trust.
Oh, hold on.
Oh.
She'll type it in a second. Number two was master the art of trust.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're talking about number three. So develop the ability to take care of your home is number three.
Mm-hmm.
So y'all listen to this, right? Listen to this.
How many we give? We're just giving 3
Give
today?
them 5. Oh, you want to just get 3?
I don't know. What time is it?
I'm not sure. So taking care of your home means is emotionally and physically taking care of the house. You want to be able to set an atmosphere of peace and love in your home. Now, if you're ranting and raving and fussing and angry and mean and mad all the time, are you taking care of your home by
No.
setting an atmosphere of peace and
Because
love?
then we'll go back to number 1, the relationship. What does God's word said? A man would rather be on a rooftop than inside with a quarreling woman.
Oh my gosh! And the Bible has got like a cantankerous woman, a quarreling
Ross
woman.
Yeah.
There's another one. There's like 4 different types of
Right.
women that sends the man on the rooftop, y'all. I
Right.
have to teach on
So
that
would
one
you
day.
rather be on that rooftop than inside with your woman who is always going at it? See what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So that goes back to that. Then the trust and open, and then this one, taking care of home.
That's right. And it also means, I mean,
Because let me just say this. Because when we talk about taking care of home, you know, when a man comes home, and this is for the women, since this is Women's History Month, you know, your home, especially for a man, your home should be your sanctuary, should be your place of comfort, should be your place of peace, to be your place of joy
and love.
and love. And if you don't have all those things, trust me, sometimes a man doesn't want to come home because of those, because he doesn't have those things.
So how do you develop that before you become a wife? Start paying attention to how you act when somebody does you wrong. Whether it's a waiter or waitress, whether it's a service professional, like when you go take your car to the shop, or you're in the store and somebody step on your foot or bump into your cart. You have to start practicing a heart of peace and love, no matter how someone may talk to you, treat you, make a mistake, an accident, things of that nature. You know, that's like somebody drop something, break a glass or something in the house, or whatever it may be, knock something over, break something, and they're like, oh my God, and they think I'm gonna get upset. I don't get upset over those things. Now, there was a time in my life that I did,
And,
but
and
not
then you
anymore.
think of taking care of home. Are you always complaining? God, you leave your clothes laying around. You always leave
That's
your
that
shoes laying
quarrelsome
around.
wife.
Or why every time? Why can't you just put the dish in the dishwasher every use it? Why you gotta leave them in the sink? You know, complaining about everything.
So-
and some things. Let me just say this: some things that you're complaining about don't even matter. They're minor.
And you could just do
You
it
can
yourself.
just overlook them.
Overlook it. Yep. So when we're counseling young couples or couples period that are getting married and they got these issues, we're like, is it a life or death situation?
Is it a deal breaker?
Is it a deal breaker? Can
I'm
you
not going to
live
marry
with it
him
or
because
without
he
it?
leaves his clothes laying around.
No, they want to marry him, but they're arguing before they ever even get
Right.
married about certain little things. So it's all about a conversation. Like, if he does or doesn't do it, can you just do it? Can you just overlook it? Have a conversation about, you know, babe, I need you to do
Right.
this because explain why
Right.
you're so adamant about this thing.
Right. Or
And maybe once they get an understanding, instead of you just saying, I get sick of you leaving your clothes laying on the floor, it's a conversation, babe. It takes me extra time when I got to pick up your clothes, the children's clothes, my clothes, and still do all the laundry. If you could just put your clothes in the basket, it would really help me out.
Or-
they're going to be more apt to pick up their clothes.
Right. Or, you know, we always talk about saying how you feel. You can say how it makes you feel when this stuff happens. But when you leave your clothes laying around, here's how it makes me feel. Or if you leave a bunch of dishes in the sink, here's how it makes me feel. Or if you're eating in the bed and you don't want them to eat in the bed, here's how it makes you feel. So let them know, like Cynthia said, have that conversation and let them know how it makes you feel and why it makes you feel that way.
Yes.
It's always about a conversation. It's always about communication and how certain things make you feel.
Right.
Because if you let them know how your feelings, they will let you know their feelings.
That's so true. And
And that's the key. I'm sorry. That's the
Mhm.
key in respecting each other's feelings.
That's very true.
It's been 30
All right,
minutes.
you guys. So we want to leave these videos to 30 minutes. We don't want it
Yeah.
to be long and drawn out, and you know you're watching and you're like, oh gosh, when's this gonna be over? Plus, we're going to be talking about this topic all month, y'all. So this is your first 3 tips on helping you to prepare to be the most wonderful and amazing wife that God has called you to be. Okay, Tracina typed them in the group. Thank you so much, Tracina. You're such a sweetheart. Number 1 was develop an intimate relationship with God so that you can have an intimate relationship with your spouse spiritually. That's super important. Number 2 was master the art of trust. Not just trusting them that you don't tell lies, but a trust that your spouse can trust their heart with you, where they can share what they are really thinking and feeling, and you give them that opportunity and you listen and you allow them that openness for them to be able to do that.
And when we talk about the trust, not only trust that person, trust them with your heart, trust them with your feelings, trust them with your emotions. You know, you should be able to pour that out to your spouse and trust them that they will take care of them, your feelings, your emotions, your heart.
That's how men really connect with women, you guys, because they know they can talk to this woman about anything. She's not going to judge them, put them down, and give them a hard time. And then number 3
she trusts them.
Is take care of the home.
That's right.
And when we say take care of the home, we're not just talking about cleaning, but you do need to have a clean house. And we're talking about creating a home that's full of love, joy, peace, happiness.
Take care of home, like Cindy said, means create a great home environment. Because that's where the man wants to come home to.
Yeah, you want your man to want to come home every day, y'all.
When men are out, or even if they're at work, you know, when you hear one say, man, I can't wait to get home. That is a man where his wife is taking care of home. Or a man, he wants to come home.
Or a man who leaves a job like, man, I'm going home.
I can't wait to get home.
I'm getting out of here. I'm going home. Like, not even say I can't wait to go home. Like.
No, I can't wait to be home.
Right, but I'm just saying, you don't even have to say that like you ready to leave work and just go home because you like going home. You know? And you want your man to want to come home, to be with you, to see you, to be at home, because it's so peaceful and loving and full of joy and happiness there. And that's where they want to be. There's a lot of people, men and women, who don't want to go home because there's so much contention and cantankerousness in the house. They don't want to be there. You don't want your home to be like that.
And if he wants to come home, that means you're doing a great job of taking care of home.
That's right. You're supportive, you're loving, you're kind, you're gentle. You're all of 1 Corinthians 13. All right, you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And remember, if you build it, it will last. Go over to our Facebook group, Marriage Built to Last Movement.com. Join the group. Post your comments about this video. Post your comments about what you would tell someone to be ready to be a wife, okay? We want to hear what you have to say. We got some things coming up for you guys. Oh, get ready, get ready, get ready. We love you. God bless you. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.